mailman walks home from work in 1980. He is wearing a simple blue uniform and his shoes are dusty from a full day of delivering letters. He pulls into the driveway of a 3-bedroom house that he bought on his single salary. His wife is in the kitchen and his 3 kids are playing in the backyard. There is a station wagon in the garage and money in the savings account. He does not have a college degree, but he is not worried because in 1980, a regular job could still buy you a regular life. Now fast forward 46 years to 2026. A young woman sits in her apartment staring at a spreadsheet on her laptop. She has a bachelor degree and $73,000 in student debt. She works a full-time marketing job and drives for a rideshare app on weekends. Her apartment is a studio that costs $1,700 a month, which eats up almost half of her paycheck. She has no savings. She has no house. And she has been told over and over again that this is somehow her fault. But here is the truth that nobody in charge wants you to understand. You are not broke because you are lazy. You are not broke because you spend too much on coffee or avocado toast or streaming subscriptions. You are broke because the rules of the economic game were rewritten decades ago and nobody bothered to tell you. Today we are going to expose every single hidden mechanism that made your generation poorer than your parents. We will break it down so simply that a 5-year-old could understand it. And by the end of this video, you will see the financial matrix for exactly what it is. Let us start with the most important graph in modern economics. A graph that explains almost everything wrong with the American economy in a single image. From 1948 to 1979, something beautiful happened in the United States. Workers became more productive and their wages went up at almost exactly the same rate. Productivity grew 108% and wages grew 93%. When the company made more money, you made more money. It was that simple. The economy was like a 2-person bicycle where you pedaled harder and the bike went faster for everyone riding it. But then, something broke. Starting around 1979, the 2 lines on that graph ripped apart and never came back together. According to the Economic Policy Institute, from 1979 to 2024, productivity in the United States grew by over 60%. But the compensation for a typical worker grew by only about 17%. Let me put that in real numbers so you can feel how insane this is. If your pay had kept pace with productivity growth since 1979 today, the median worker would earn roughly $106,000 a year instead of the roughly $63,000 they actually earn. That is $43,000 per year, stolen from every single working American. Not by a mugger in a dark alley, but by a system redesigned to redirect the fruits of your labor to shareholders, executives, and asset owners. In 1978, the average CEO of a major company earned about 31 times what a typical worker earned. By 2024, that ratio had exploded to 281 to 1. The CEO now takes home $281 for every single dollar the average worker earns. At some of the largest low-wage employers in America, like fast food chains and retail giants, the ratio is even worse. A report found that CEOs at America's 100 largest low-wage employers earn an average of 632 times their median worker pay. The average CEO at these companies made $17.2 million in a single year, while the average employee earned just $35,570. Where did all that productivity growth go? It did not evaporate. It was funneled upward through stock buybacks, executive compensation packages, and dividend payments to shareholders. The bicycle became a limousine, but only the people in the back seat got to ride in it. Everyone else is still pedaling. Now let us talk about the wall. The single biggest financial milestone for any generation has always been buying a home. For your parents, it was a hill you could walk over. For you, it is a cliff you cannot climb. In 1980, the median home price in the United States was about $64,600. The median household income that same year was about $20,900. That means a house cost roughly 3 times the annual household income. A family could realistically save for a down payment in a few years, and a 30-year mortgage was manageable on a single salary. Now let us look at 2026. According to Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, home prices have surged to approximately 5 times the median household income nationally. But that is the national average. In cities where the jobs actually are, the situation is far more extreme. Some reports show the median home price exceeding 8 times the median household income in major metropolitan areas. You now need to earn at least $106,731 per year just to afford the median-priced home at current mortgage rates. The national median household income is roughly $80,000. Do you see the math problem? The first-time homebuyer share has fallen to a historic low of just 21% of all buyers. And the median age of a first-time homebuyer has now risen to 40 years old. In 1981, that age was 29. Your parents bought their first home at 29. You might buy yours at 40. That is, 11 years of your life spent paying someone else rent instead of building equity in your own home. And here is the cruelest detail of all. While you were locked out of the housing market, home prices kept climbing. The gap does not close. It widens every single year. But the housing crisis is just one arm of a much larger monster. The other arm is something far more insidious because you cannot even see it working. It is called inflation, and it is the most effective wealth transfer mechanism ever invented. Imagine you work hard all year and save $10,000 in your bank account. You feel responsible. You feel proud. But while you were sleeping, a ghost crept into your bank account. Not a literal ghost, obviously, but a force that is just as invisible. Inflation. In 2020, the U.S. money supply, measured by something economists call M2, was about $15.4 trillion. By January 2026, it had ballooned to $22.4 trillion. That means roughly 29% of all U.S. dollars in existence were created in just the last 6 years. When the government floods the economy with new money, every dollar you already own becomes worth less. Not worthless. Worth less. There is a difference, but it shrinks every year. A dollar in 1980 had the purchasing power of roughly $3.95 in 2026. That means your parents' dollar was almost 4 times more powerful than your dollar. They could walk into a grocery store and buy 4 times as much food with the same piece of green paper. College tuition tells this story with brutal clarity. In 1980, the average cost to attend a 4-year college, including tuition fees and room and board, was about $10,231 per year in today's dollars. By the 2025-26 academic year, that number had exploded to roughly $58,600 for a private university and nearly $25,000 for an in-state public school. College tuition prices have increased over 1,249% since 1980. That is not a typo. 1,249%. Meanwhile, wages grew by what? A fraction of that. So you took out student loans. Americans now collectively owe approximately $1.84 trillion in student debt. The average federal student loan balance is roughly $39,547 per borrower, and 42.5 million Americans are carrying this burden. Your parents graduated college with little to no debt and walked straight into a job market where a single income could support a family and buy a house. You graduated with a mountain of debt and walked into a job market where 73% of workers say their wages cannot keep up with the cost of living. Now here is where the system becomes truly diabolical. Pay attention, because this is the part they never teach you in school. Inflation does not hurt everyone equally. It is a wealth transfer mechanism that moves money from people who hold cash to people who hold assets. If you have a mortgage on a house, and inflation rises by 5%, the real value of your debt just shrank by 5%. Your house is worth more in nominal dollars, but you still owe the same fixed amount. The debt gets lighter while the asset gets more valuable. Now think about who holds assets in America. The top 10% of households own roughly 93% of all stocks. They own the majority of real estate and investment portfolios. When the Federal Reserve prints trillions of dollars and that money flows into asset markets, the rich get richer, not because they worked harder, but because they were already holding the assets that inflation inflated. Meanwhile, if you are a young person with no assets, just a savings account and a paycheck, the same inflation is eating your purchasing power alive. The system literally rewards being in debt for assets and punishes saving cash. But every financial literacy class in America still teaches young people the same outdated formula. Go to a good college. Get a good job. Save your money. Buy a house. That formula worked in 1980. It is a trap in 2026. Here is why. In 1980, you could save for a house down payment in about 3 to 5 years on a median salary. In 2026, at the current median savings rate, it would take the average American over 15 years to save a 20% down payment on a median-priced home. 15 years of saving every spare penny, while rent, housing costs, student loans, and inflation eat away at your ability to save. It is a treadmill designed to keep you running in place. The math does not work. And the people who designed this system know it does not work. They just do not care because the system works perfectly for them. So what do you actually do about it? The first step is the hardest, and you have already started it by watching this video. You need to see the system for what it is. Not a meritocracy where hard work automatically leads to prosperity, but a game with rules that have been rewritten to favor asset owners over wage earners. The old playbook of save and wait is dead. In an inflationary environment, cash is a melting ice cube. Every year you hold it, the smaller it gets. The new rule is this: you must become an owner, not just an earner. That does not mean you need to become a billionaire. It means you need to find ways to own things that go up when the money printer goes on. That could be equities through low-cost index funds. That could be a small piece of real estate, even if it means house hacking or buying with partners. That could be building a business or a brand that generates income while you sleep. The specific vehicle matters less than the principle. The principle is simple. In the old economy, your parents could convert labor directly into a middle-class lifestyle. In the new economy, you must convert labor into assets, and then let those assets do the heavy lifting. We are not playing the same game our parents played. The board looks the same. The pieces look the same. But the rules underneath have been completely rewritten. If the rules of the game have changed, then your strategy must change too. And the very first move in your new strategy is understanding exactly how the system works against you so you can start making it work for you. If you want to keep decoding this financial matrix with us, hit the subscribe button right now. We break down every complicated money system in the world so simply that even a 5-year-old can understand it. Because the people who run this game are betting that you will never figure out the rules. Let us prove them wrong together.